everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. I am Fariba, and we're just about to watch Miss Marvel episode 4. Once this episode drops, we will only have 2 more episodes left, but yeah, for the most part, I've really been enjoying Kamala's journey thus far, and let's see what else happens in this episode today. So yeah, let's get started. So it looks like they're traveling to Pakistan, I see. I'm a bit surprised that it sounds as if this is her first time going to Pakistan, because you would assume that even for, like, you know, us kids, um, having been born in the United States, that we would still have the opportunity to go and travel to our parents' home country, which I have about like 3 or 4 times in my lifetime, but I'm pretty surprised about Kamal never really visiting Pakistan. Um, that's a really weird thing, but I guess it could make sense. Just it all depends on just how one feels about, you know, about everything, right? So, I mean, it's not all that flashy. At least whenever I go to my parents' home country in Bangladesh, but the greetings, yeah. But I've never seen anyone give like, okay, this is so weird. Oh. Ah, nani. It is very busy though at these airports, no matter where you at. So yeah, it's a very common thing to have like favorite heirlooms. Like even my mom has a whole bunch of bangles that are like heirlooms and all that sort of stuff. Like it's part of the family. So yeah, that's so Kadafis means it's like basically saying saying goodbye and you know, like if you're a Muslim, right, and you're to talk to another Muslim and you want to say goodbye, you say Kadafis. So alright, so yeah, you can see a lot of Pakistan here. Yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised. I mean, I've never been to Pakistan, so I can't really speak in my experience with that. But as somebody like me whose family is from Bangladesh, like, this is kind of how you would see, you know, everything around you, right? Like, it's a very busy street. You have homes like this that kind of looks like a bungalow. Um, yeah, that's just how our experiences are in South Asian countries. So yeah, I have a house in Bangladesh that looks just about. Yeah, these are like antiques of everything. Okay, so that's like going back to kind of the historical stuff, like 1947 partition. I'm seeing a lot of references to that. It's just genetics. Okay, so I'm kind of a bit. I'm calling this out on the unrealistic side because I've never conversed this much with my nani because her English is not the greatest. Um, just wanted to mention that I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just different among everyone, but at least for me, it's really. I have to basically converse with my grandmother in Bengali because her English is like, it's not the greatest. And again, it makes sense. She's not from the United States or let alone like England in that manner, um, but like even then, she tries to speak English as much as she can. But I also try to speak Bengali with her. So I'm a bit confused why she isn't speaking more in Urdu than you know what I'm saying. So kind of calling off on the unrealistic side on that, but yep, these places are super hot. Right now, even in Bangladesh, it's like super hot. So, okay, she ate something really spicy. The pakora, not the pakora, sorry. Crap, I forgot what it's called. I literally eat these all the time. It's not pakora, sorry. I can't remember. I'll probably remember in the breakdown video later. But it's like something that it's if you eat it, it's really spicy. Um, it's like a common street dish that you'll find in India, and in this case also in Pakistan. Yeah, so it's very common to find all these shops outside. It's like a common thing that you ever find. Um, yeah, this is a very common thing to look around in the streets. Like you'll see all these street markets and all that, whether it be in Bangladesh, India, or Pakistan. So, and you even find like food and all that, as well as the street food and all. It's those street people who kind of try to, get you as a tourist. That's just something that you kind of have to keep an eye out for in terms of like tourism. Um, yep, there you go. There you go. Those types of people. You always find these. Yeah, you always whenever you come to these countries, you gotta be really careful with like some of these vendors because they'll try to kind of rip you off for things that are really stupid. Um, like they'll try to entice you to do something, and then in doing so, like they'll try to charge you for it, especially in something like a insanely high amount of price. So you kind of have to be careful with these. This is something that even you'll see in India, you'll see in Bangladesh, you'll see in Pakistan. I would assume it's something you also see in other countries as well, but something that you kind of have to be a bit more careful with, especially if you're like walking around the streets and just kind of like roaming around like a tourist. So like they'll know if you are a tourist. Like they're pretty they're pretty good at kind of figuring out who is who. So yeah. So that's Red Dagger.
Not sure what's worse. Those glasses you tied on.
I'm not Canadian.
Which is so funny because the actual actress is Canadian. Oh, she hasn't learned the knife skills yet. Okay. Impressive.
Jump like that, Ninja Turtles?
Ah, Ninja Turtles. Ah, I know this song. But it's a really bad, like, bougie quality. Well, not bougie, but bootleg quality. Wow, it looks like an inside of a mosque. That's insane. Looks like it's like if you're walking through the hallways of a mosque. That's how it is. Like it looks that nice. It actually looks nicer. Wow, this is so gorgeous. Now that's gotta be marble without a doubt. A lot of that has to. So that's the red dagger.
But for a descendant of Aisha,
Hey, so that's Farhan
Akhtar.
Akhtar. So he's a Bollywood actor. I'll talk more about him in the breakdown. But that's Farhan Akhtar. He's a very famous Bollywood actor. Oh man, it's so cool to see him.
Why is the hot and sour soup so red?
That looks like the snap type of parachment. Mosque right there. You can hear it.
Hi, Nanny.
Yeah, you'll always hear the I can't remember what it is, but That's the consequence of the 1947 partition.
Claiming their identity based on an idea some bold Englishmen had when they were fleeing the country.
True.
I was going to deal with that.
That's the saddest part about all of it. So, and another thing that she said is wrong. It's all true. So, I mean, I'm not gonna go too much into political aspects, but look at the whole Kashmir situation. That's literally what she's basically talking about. So. Oh, that's Kareem. I've been trying to look for this dude. Biryani.
Been out of a bag before.
I've never eaten a bag either, but like, biryani's biryani, dudes. My mom makes the best biryani, and oh my god, I love biryani. And it's authentic if you just go to like your home country. It's so authentic. It's insane. Why does she not like spicy? It's like real shit. Authentic biryani, y'all. Authentic biryani. That's how it is. Okay, I've heard a version of this song. I feel like it's like a cover. Um, yeah, it sounds really familiar. I can't recall it right now. Okay, so this is a very familiar song. This is a very, very old song. Um, this is like this is like going back to my parents' time, to be honest. But this is a very common song that I've always heard. This is, this is like my mom, but with my dad, to be honest. So yes, I do understand a lot of what they're saying because again, I know Hindi.
Awesome plan to take off in America.
Okay, this is very relatable.
Where had it thought?
Very, very relatable.
Way across the world to get away from. I wasn't trying
My
to
mom
get
has done the same thing with my nanny too. And now my nanny does live in the United States, but she's always been trying to tell her to come down to Florida so she can take care of her. So same stuff.
her wild theories. Continue to claim
So she calls her dad Baba too. See, it's not just me.
Always remember where you came from.
That looks like something that's part of her costume. Oh, hell no. Saving your ass? They're about to go on a rickshaw. Oh my god. Well, that's not really a rickshaw, but you know, the concept is there. Because a rickshaw is more like a bike, but oh, oh, this is like Bolly. This is like literally what you'll see in a Bollywood movie. This is everything that you'll see in a Bollywood movie. This is how it is. Yeah, this is like Bollywood. We're going like full Bollywood here. Oh man, that's so much chaos. Yeah, that's so true. Driving on the opposite side of the road. Oh no! Oh, she's driving manual too. Oh, hell no. She's driving with the handle. Oh, hell no. Maybe not manual, but still a handle. Good timing. Impressive. This looks like more of the poor areas, but yeah. And now they're about to fight in this area. Great. Hey. Ooh. Oh, snap. Did she just get transported? Oh, she 1942. I mean, sorry, 1947. This is 1947. The partition time. So she's stuck in 1947. How the hell did that happen? Wait, already? I swear to God. I go through these episodes and it's like, you get to the interesting parts and then it's like, whoa, you're gonna stop right there? Oh. Getting to the point where Kamala's really starting to dive deep into her background, her heritage, trying to find the answers to just everything about the Bengal and just her whole like family, right? So she goes back to Pakistan. Well, not back. It sounds like this is her first time going to Pakistan, which I'm kind of surprised that's the case because as somebody like me, like I've been to Bangladesh so many times. And usually it's like when you have parents, right, who come from a different country, they usually try to take the opportunity to bring their kid to their home country to kind of give them an idea of like what it's like to live in the country and like meeting other family members and whatnot. So I was a bit surprised about that, but you know, nonetheless, right, what's the best way to get the answers about your family. Well, it's basically going back to your family's home country, which is in her case Pakistan. So we definitely start to see a bit more of like what it's like living in Pakistan, and that's like a big thing that occurs throughout the first few minutes of the episode. So we see her, interacting with the aunties, meeting her cousins, talking to her nanny, trying to figure out like who is Aisha, what is the whole situation with the bangle, and we're going bit by bit, right? It's like you're tiptoeing to just getting the details of like what's going on, like why Kamala, why her family, why is it that they're the special ones who happen to possess this bangle, right? And not just that, but one of the things you also have to remember is that they're not from this dimension, right? Or at least in Kamala's great grandmother's case, she's not from that dimension, right? She wanted to go back home, like her whole crew. What was it? The clandestines wanted to go back to their actual dimension, and yet here we are, right? Like they're now the clandestines are like going after her, and because for everything that happened at the wedding, and she didn't prioritize them, and all that sort of stuff, right? So we're starting to feel like finally get to the bit by bit of it, and then this is where we meet, finally the Red Dagger, because I was like, when are we gonna meet Kareem? Like I thought we were gonna meet this guy named Kareem, and here we have it. The Red Dagger finally shows up, and not just the Red Dagger, but we also see Farhan Akhtar, who is a Bollywood actor that you just saw in the episode, which again I'll talk more about him in the breakdown. But it was just really nice just seeing how he tries to explain a bit more of just who Kamala is, that she's not necessarily like a jinn, like as they try to mention as if part of the pre-Islamic stuff and all that kind of thing. Um, and of course you can see how as she interacts with them, and having to kind of just learn the whole atmosphere that she's in and everything, that she's really starting to kind of like get the groove of everything that she's doing. You can see that she's really improving with her powers, like she's really getting a lot more comfortable, which again shows that she's really evolving to become eventually Miss Marvel, right? And we're seeing bits and pieces of everything kind of transpiring to just like reach to that moment, hopefully by episode 6. That's what the goal looks to be. um, and yeah, and I think with that said, like the last probably 15 minutes was just bonkers, right? I mean, I kept saying like this kind of reminds me of like a lot of the action sequences that I would see in Bollywood movies. Like that's kind of the essence I was getting watching the whole sequences, which I really appreciate, because it's like, I mean, this is a show about Desis, right? And a lot of us Desis have grown up with Bollywood movies, and kind of just bringing that sort of style into this episode was kind of, it was really nice. And I wouldn't say refreshing, but it's just something that, it brings a bit more of a nostalgia for me, especially because I grew up watching Bollywood as a kid, especially the action ones. Like, people love the masala, action, blockbuster type of films, and this is kind of like giving an instance of that. And like, you always see like a lot of explosions and cars just kind of tipping over, and people running around, and kind of, this is something that you always see in Bollywood action films. Like, we would basically call them masala films. Again, I'll talk more about that in the breakdown. But I think overall, this was a really nice episode, right? It wasn't just like anything in a sense like a filler, like we would have in like some of the other MCU movies where they don't really get anywhere. Here, it's like, even though it is a bit more tame in terms of the narrative that they try to go through with this episode, it still had a lot more meaning to it, because it shows that Kamala slowly kind of trying to understand, getting the details of again who she is, and then as she's trying to figure this out, oh look, we have a conflict that just comes out of nowhere, right? Which is basically the clandestines, however you pronounce them, just coming out of nowhere. Which it appears to be that they're basically the villains of the series. I mean, again, it seems like it's a whole group, from the looks of it. So I guess you can say that they're the villains, even though it's a bit weird because it's kind of like there aren't like your typical villains that you would get from MCU movies, but which is totally fine, because like why do you have to always follow the same formula, right? Like, I mean, if you're gonna go something different, right? But it definitely seems like, Aisha's friend, or colleague, whatnot, may be the main villain from the looks of it. Again, things could change in the last 2 episodes, we don't know yet, but just from what we've seen, right? There's a lot of action. They're really desperate that they want that bagel. They want to go home from from what we can see, right? Um, but now we have this really tricky situation now where somehow she got transported back to 1947. How? What does this mean? I don't know. I'm going to presume that this is going to be kind of the final step forward to her just uncovering who she is, who Kamala Khan is, who is Aisha, what is this bangle about? Like, I feel like this will finally set the stage of kind of giving us the big answers of everything that not just Kamala has been trying to figure out, but that we're also trying to figure out. Because again, like in this series, it kind of did deviate a lot of just the origins, Kamala's origins from the comics, and kind of just changed up something. So it's kind of like, okay, I want to know what direction they're going as well in the MCU, knowing that they're not going in the Inhuman direction. Um, but yeah, no, I'm very curious about the whole 1947 thing. I mean, that's literally 1947 right there. I'm going to assume that maybe she might encounter a younger version of her Nani. For from the looks of it, it's possible. I mean, I can't say for sure, but it seems like the final piece of the puzzle is going to be 1947. Um, and yeah, that's all I have to say. I think the only thing that I felt that was like a bit, underwhelmed, like I wish they could have changed this up a little bit, is the kind of the whole dynamic between the whole family. So like not just like Kamal and her Nani, but also her Nani and her mother. Um, Kind of just like the fact that I guess my criticism is that it just wasn't really authentic. Because I will tell you right now, somebody who's, literally has a Nani myself, who's spoken with my Nani, heck, I have even actually, traveled to my home country and, gone through that whole experience. It just seems a bit inauthentic because the way that they kind of converse, like they speak only like about 60% English and then 40% Urdu or whenever they can. It's like I people don't like reading subtitles, right? I mean, it's like it kind of distracts you. You're trying to listen to what they're trying to say, but you don't understand it, and now you're forced to read the subtitles, and that's kind of like it creates a whole issue. I mean, for me, again, I've watched Bollywood movies my whole life. Like for me, reading subtitles is not even a big issue for me, and even then, like I kind of already know the Urdu Hindi language, so it's like easy for me to understand. Um, but yeah, having said that, right, I feel like it was a bit authentic the way that they kind of converse. Because, I mean, for again, someone like me whose Nani has literally lived in Bangladesh her whole life, right? And I mean, her Nani looks just like somebody who, like, her Nani looks like she's about 10, 15 years younger than my Nani. I mean, I can't even say, right? I mean, it's really hard to pinpoint because, again, like for me, it's like we're kind of the same age and whatnot. Like her mom is like almost like the same age as my mom, which I'm going to assume that her Nani is the same age as my Nani. So, so I'm going to assume that's the case. And if that is the case, then it's kind of like it's hard for me to believe that her grandmother knows English that well. Like at least for me, my Nani does not know English that well, although she attempts to. It will be a bit more broken. She'll give like simple phrases and whatnot. That's something that like that's what I mean by that. But typically, whenever I am with my Nani, I try to speak more in a Bengali accent or um, not sorry, Bengali accent. Try to speak in the Bengali language with her, or again, she'll try to converse with me in English as well, like as much as she can. But it'll be harder. It's like harder for her to kind of understand what's going on. I mean, she can speak English. Let me just reiterate: she can speak English. She knows how to speak English. It's just that it's kind of harder for her to kind of make it a bit more of a conversation, like not as like like the way that Kamala's Nani was able to easily flow into speaking like fluently in the English language, as my Nani would not be able to do that. So I feel like there was a bit of inauthentic. It was a bit inauthentic, and I think that this is more so pertaining to her Nani and her mother particularly, because like my mom will literally speak in Bengali with her mom. Like I would not anticipate her ever being like, oh, I'm gonna talk to you in English or whatnot, right? Whereas here it's kind of like I was a bit like stunned, I guess, to see that her mother spoke to her mother. I'm talking about Kamala's mother speaking to her nani. It almost like 80% English and then 20% Urdu, right? And it's kind of like that's that's not that's not how it works. At least not what I've seen. And again, I get it because it's just because of the fact that it is an American TV show and like people, you viewers might be a bit turned off with the whole like, oh, like they're speaking a different language, now I gotta read this subtitle. But by doing that, it also takes away the authenticity of like people's experiences, like especially with like because here you're kind of just putting a parallelism of like what's happening here in the series with like what we're seeing in real life, right? And I don't think it was really authentic. I feel like they should have been a bit more realistic about what it's like to kind of just conversing with your parents and all that. So that was just my only big criticism, just the decision to kind of like, be like, oh, let's just stick to mostly English and kind of just have a few, Urdu phrases here and there and whatnot, right? It's kind of like, that's not how it works, especially because if you're going to your home country, like that's where you're more likely to be speaking your home language, like your mother tongue, right? And I was kind of like, oh man, like the fact that they didn't really show more of the cultural side, considering that they are in Pakistan, I feel like that was a bit of a disappointing part. But that's just the only thing I felt like was just my only big criticism. But aside from that, like I think that overall this was again another good episode. I feel like this is again like I think overall Miss Marvel has been a better series in terms of what we've seen so far in the MCU, especially when it comes to like the TV shows, right? I feel like this has been a much more cohesive, much more developing series that really goes from point A to point B to point C, in a good flowy way, without kind of being too jumbled or being like, oh, let's try to do something else here for a little bit just to kind of like slow things down. Like no, this is not really slowing things down. Like we're fine. Like we're kind of going up the ladder, right? To going from like the fact that Kamala was this just teenage girl who's just obsessed with the Avengers to now slowly becoming Miss Marvel, the superhero, right? And I really appreciate how how the story has been very organized, and I hope that this continues on with the last two episodes because we only have two episodes left now. Um, so yeah, that's all I really have to say. I mean, we have only two episodes left, but we're just about to get to the end of the series. But yeah, what did you think? Did you enjoy episode 4? I mean, did you kind of like the fact that you kind of see a bit more of a like the countryside of not the countryside, but just kind of Kamala's family heritage now going back to her roots finally? Do you think you finally got some answers? Do you think they're just still a bit, it hasn't really been going anywhere? What do you think about the action scenes themselves? Did you enjoy? I personally enjoyed it because it was, very Bollywood-esque. But did you enjoy that? I mean, yeah, just let me know. Like, what do you think? Just let me know in the comments below. And yeah, and again, make sure to subscribe. And that's all I really have to say.